Okay, I've got something for you. The new parts have been fitted to the car. The simulation numbers are good, so look forward to your feedback. Check out the details.
Well, welcome back everybody then to the Force India career mode in F1 2017. And finally, that little gurney flap is on the car and takes us ever closer to the outright performance of Red Bull. Still quite a big gap to the top three, but Red Bull do seem to have closed that gap up to both Ferrari and Mercedes. So, a wet start to the weekend. Practice went okay. The qualifying and the race are going to be dry. So, you can see we're desperately trying to hang on to the back end of the car here. But all in all, it's going pretty well. We did a really good job at Spa. We got on the podium. I feel we did throw away a win there. I think we could have held off Raikkonen towards the end of the race, but obviously we made that mistake. It meant we were only second, but it is our first podium with Force India. And Monza, even more so than Spa, should really play to the strengths of our car. Obviously, with the Mercedes engine in the back, it really is one of the most powerful on the grid. Well, it is the most powerful on the grid. So we should have a really competitive weekend here, considering how competitive we've been at tracks that shouldn't have suited us in the last few races, or since that update, I should say, from the game. I'm hopeful that we can challenge again for a podium here. And after practice complete then, we decided to go for a quality control upgrade, just to mean that down the line, hopefully we don't waste so many points as we have been doing the last few upgrades on them failing. How reliable this is going to be, you can see it reduces it by another 7.5%, so it's a total of 15% now reduced chance of that part failing. But we don't really know till we do our next upgrade. We'll do a few upgrades as to how much more reliable it's going to make them. But as we get into qualifying then, main attraction of the weekend, and we're massively up on our first time, which we mucked up quite a bit. And we're going to cross the line to go provisionally P1. And we end up P2, just behind Valtteri Bottas, just by a tenth. Perez right up there in 5th, confirming that our car definitely has the pace this weekend. And there is obviously the two Ferraris that have qualified on the soft tyres, so we'll have to watch out for that. We know that they can go quicker. But splitting the Mercedes in Q1 is still pretty good. We know they always find some extra speed in Q2 and Q3 with those magic engine modes that they're known for by now. But as we move on to our first lap in Q2 then, and it's been a fairly tidy one. We're going to cross the line to go just behind Vettel, in between the two Ferraris for now. And as we wind down to the end of the session, you can see we stay there in P3. Slightly bigger gap to Perez this time. And Bottas qualifying on the soft tyres, so he'll be on a completely different strategy come race day. But still only a couple of tenths off Lewis and just behind Sebastian. So it definitely looks like we can maybe fight for the pole position here if we get the lap right. And I was starting to think whether we're maybe a little bit too quick. I mean, Perez is quicker than the Red Bulls round here as well. And half a second gap between me and my teammate isn't too bad, considering. I will considering turning it back up. I just seem to be getting quicker and quicker in this game. And more used to this Force India car. A word of note, I do have, very much newer engine components, I think, than Sergio. And this is a track that suits us, so I wouldn't jump to conclusions just yet. But as always, I'm going to give you the sights and the sounds then of our qualifying lap in Q4.
Currently on the front row of the grid.
As we come out the final corner then, it's looking like a good lap. Is it going to be enough to take pole from Hamilton? Provisionally it is. It's a 22.8, our fastest time of the weekend as well. And now it's the nervous wait till the end of the session. And you can see that Valtteri Bottas has pipped us off our first ever pole right at the death. But all in all, a pretty great qualifying session. P2 on the grid on raw pace, splitting the Mercedes. Perez is only, what, 5 tenths back in 6th. And only 4 tenths off us. So it's definitely the car suiting these conditions. I'm kind of happy to be 4 or 5 tenths ahead of Perez. You know, I do rate Perez, but if we're going to be this, you know, awe-inspiring superstar, we need to be a little bit quicker than our teammate. Monza is a good track for me as well, so we'll see how that holds up in the race. Our race pace has generally been better than qualifying pace, so there's a good chance of definitely fighting for a podium and maybe even the win if we beat Valtteri off the line. But let's get into race day then, race day number 13, and see how we go, shall we?
It's a very tight turn 1 here and a very big braking zone. It's a corner, Anthony Davidson, where we've seen a number of lap 1 incidents in the past.
As you say, it's a very small piece of track when you have more than just one car trying to go through it. The actual run down towards the chicane is quite wide, so off the start we'll often see drivers running 2 or maybe 3 abreast as they come up towards the braking zone. Everyone wants to brake late, of course, to win track position, and that tends to be where we see a lot of contact. And you'll see the more experienced drivers kind of hang back a little into here and focus more on picking up the pieces from other people's incidents.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. It's Force India in pole position then, and Lewis Hamilton...
Who in pole position, Crofty? A Force India? That's it, we're promoted to pole position, as Valtteri Bottas gets a 10-place grid penalty for whatever reason then. And it means we're going to be leading the pack away here in Monza. And a bit of a new experience in this career mode. Bit of a new experience in this Force India team. And a little bit nervous on the line, to be fair. It's all well and good doing it in an online lobby where it's going to be chaos, and hasn't actually happened in the league racing yet. So a real pressure pole position, and hopefully we can get off the line well. One stop strategy looking the most likely for the race, but of course you never know how it's going to turn out until you turn a wheel on track in race conditions. And we're underway in Monza, and it's a pretty wheel spinny start. It seems to have got to us. And Lewis is easily through, and I'm sure the Tifosi will be cheering on Sebastian Vettel, who knocks wheels with us into turn 1. But we managed to get the wider line, better traction out of turn 1, and set off in pursuit of Lewis Hamilton. And all in all, I'm not too disappointed with that start. You know, a podium is what we're aiming for. The win might still be on. We have to see how our race pace is. And you can already see we're catching Lewis a little bit into the first chicane there, and yeah, we just bottled it off the start really. Massive amount of wheel spin trying to get the best start possible, and that allowed Lewis with a flying start on our right hand side to get through. And we're actually going to go on ahead to lap 6 now. It's a pretty uneventful race, to be honest, so it's not going to be too long. But we are slowly pulling away from Vettel behind. I think we've got about 2-second gap on him currently. Lewis is a couple of seconds ahead, and we're sort of trading blows at the moment. We've definitely got the pace of the Mercedes, but haven't quite had the consistency in the first few laps with the heavy fuel load, which is what I really struggle with in this game. I love doing laps on heavy fuel, but can have an issue with consistency, especially compared to the AI. But we're on to lap 9 now. I know, lap 9 already. And Lewis is into the pits then for what is presumably his one and only stop, as we set the fastest lap of the race with perfect timing. Obviously Mercedes have got the undercut on us, but we still feeling good on these super soft tyres. We don't want to take them too long, purely because whatever tyres Lewis puts on after a couple of laps is surely going to be quicker than us. So we do the best in lap we possibly can. We tried to hit our mark on the pit entry. Well, it wasn't really that aggressive, was it, looking at it? But we're through the pit lane now. Have we done enough to get out in the lead of this race and overturn that deficit to Lewis? We're putting on the soft tyres for our one and only stop. And here comes Lewis down the pit straight now. And you're going to see he's behind. We have done enough. Just about get ahead into turn 1. Cover him off, because you never know when Lewis is going to make a lunge to be late on the brakes. And you'll also notice he's on the medium tyres. And what really should have been a great scrap between me and Lewis throughout the race, which it had been for the first 9 and 10 laps, then turned in, I'm afraid, to a bit of a cakewalk. Because medium tyres, we were so closely matched on pace. Medium tyres versus soft, when the softs easily had the tyre wear to go the distance, was really not fair. It's as it turns out. Vettel did the same job. He's closing a little bit on Lewis, probably only a couple of seconds behind him. But we're just breezing away at the front. The gap at this point up to almost 3.5 seconds. We've got lots of fuel in the bank. We're trying to look after the tyres as much as possible. And to be honest, at this point, there is really no threat from Lewis behind. And we're on to lap 24, and the only bit of excitement you're going to get in this race, I'm afraid, is Stoffel Van Dorn, the back marker, going one way then the other, finally getting out of our way. But by this point the gap to Lewis is about 4.5-5 seconds, and as long as these soft tyres hold up, then we should be okay. There was a little threat of rain as well. You can see it's already started to get grey and overcast, but that's not forecast till just after the race, according to Grandmeister Jeff. And as you can see, we're on to the final lap as we get past Palmer, and it all seems under control. The tyres are wearing pretty heavily, and Lewis has been quicker the last couple of laps, and with this traffic you've got to be careful, because Lewis is only about 1.8 seconds behind at this point. He's just got past Palmer, and you can see there's probably one, maybe two cars that we've still got to navigate on this final lap. So we're going to stick with it, stick on board, because it's been a pretty quiet race, to be honest. We're going to get them from time to time, especially when we get our car right up there with Mercedes and Ferrari. I would expect the episodes to be a little lackluster at times, but we'll try and fill it with what we can, and we'll just enjoy us trying to circumnavigate these back markers on the way to our maiden F1 win. So we hope we pull out from behind Alonso, probably the best place it could be done with DRS to boot. We run a little wide, but just about keep it under control. The tyres really not feeling good at this point, but you can see we've now got Alonso between ourselves and Lewis, and we've just got one corner to navigate. Heart thumping. Force India, I'm sure, as nervous as anybody on that pit wall, but we're going to come to the inside of the track to celebrate our first win in this Force India career mode, and it's come at Monza. Ferrari fans won't like that, I'm sure, but we've done the job to date, and we've beaten Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, I've got to say, quite comfortably. VJ's pretty happy there on the pit wall with his ponytail. I don't know why he's on the pit wall. He's never been on the pit wall this year. I don't think he's even allowed to go into some of the countries. But we jump out of the car to celebrate. A little clap from the garage and from Vettel there. And we're going to step up onto the podium. Our first victory. Oh no, we're just going to get a little scene of Roman. Really happy with 10th. Good lad. If this was my Motorsport Manager playthrough, I'd be happy with 10th as well. But there we are at last then on the podium. A British 1-2. Must be the last time that, first time that's happened. It's got to be sometime in 2012. It must have happened with Hamilton and Button. It's a long wait for the British fans to see two British drivers, even on the podium, I think, let alone the top two spots. And it's a great win. It is a little hollow, though, to be fair, because the whole reason we won that so easily and won the race was because the AI put on the medium tyres. It was so obvious that the softs would easily get to the end. I just don't understand the level of coding that makes the AI put on medium tyres. Pretty much the whole field did. So So it's a win, it's 25 points. We'll give it another couple of races at this difficulty level and see how we do. If it continues to be an easy street, even on tracks that don't suit our car. Because let's be honest, Monza is probably the track that suits our car more than any. Perez getting 7th there, by the way. And that win lifts us above Daniel Ricciardo in the standings and only 1 point behind Verstappen now. Perez in a lonely 8th needs to start getting better results, really. And Hamilton closes the gap a little bit on Raikkonen up the top. And it's looking like a 2-horse race in that title battle between Raikkonen and Hamilton then. And we get a little closer to Red Bull. Obviously our big points finish there, or the victory, means that we move a little bit closer to Red Bull with Perez splitting the 2 Red Bulls. So yeah, a little hollow that the first victory wasn't really hard fought. It just came to us because of AI decisions, really. Whether we would have been able to beat Hamilton if he'd been on the soft tyres, we'll never know. But it would have been nice to have find out anyway. Mincing my words a little bit. I record this in one take, which sometimes isn't the best idea. But we struggle on, as we do on this channel. So that's going to be it from Monza. Next time out, my favourite race of the year, Singapore. And that will be the real test, I think. We'll leave the difficulty level how it is, because that track really shouldn't suit our car at all with the chassis and the aero level. If we return to just above Red Bull, round there, then we know it's just Monza suiting our car, and we're okay on the difficulty level. If we're as competitive as we were there, then we'll almost certainly have to bump it up a little bit. But sorry this episode's taken a little longer than usual. I've been focusing a little bit more on the Motorsport Manager stuff, but this should be back regular, at least weekly from now on. So as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're not already, and as always, thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you again next time.